as you know, our root chakra wants the tribe and the security of the tribe, but our soul's purpose is to be unique. So there's this contrast there, right?
Yes.
And
So,
and
mm,
yeah,
so I
please go on.
think that the real journey here is really rooting into aligning with your own chakras and making your energy about you. I really don't know what anyone else is doing. And that's because I've always derived my information through what I receive. So when I put out the chakra cleanse meditation, I didn't know Doreen Virtue had a chakra cleanse meditation. I didn't know a pile of people had chakra cleanse meditations. I'd listened to two others. And I didn't know other people were talking about 12 chakras. And when it comes to social media, I post because I love my Facebook community, but I never know what anyone's up to. I don't even subscribe to any newsletter lists anymore. Why is that? That is because I want to make sure that I'm not looking to other people to tell me how I should eat, what I should do, how I should live my life. I look to my own energy field and I root in my own chakras, and that guides me. Now, you could say, oh, that's a bit strange because you do run a Facebook page and you do post quotes and affirmations, you do have an online school. But my job in that is not to say, hey, look at me, I'm a role model for you. And you know that because you're in my school. My job is, I say, get your energy right. Come and discover your soul purpose. Come and discover your own unique way of doing things. And I think that that's what we need to do. We need to stop thinking about, is that person spiritual? Is that person successful? We can look and look to people for advice. I mean, I do that. I've got books that I read over and over by Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle that inspire me. But it needs to be that the attention is solely on you and your energy field and your chakras and your own version of life. And from that, you can discover your soul purpose. You can discover what you're here to be. You do spread your own unique light that people can celebrate. But you're not looking to other people as role models. You're not looking at what does she eat or what is he wearing? Or does she meditate 3 times a day or 5 times a day? Does she have green smoothies? Is she on a raw diet? We've got to get away from all of that. You know, is she talking to the archangels? Does she use crystals? We've got to get away from all of that and empower ourselves by aligning with our own energy.
I think that's so beautiful because this brings us back. See, we always spiral back to we weave it together, right? So about comparing yourself, about not caring about what other people think. It is always bringing it back to your own energy and strengthening, nourishing, bringing light and love to your own energy field. And then you are inspired with your purpose and you're present to know what's right for you. You're present then. So I love that's the best thing you could have possibly said. It's about disentangling from other people's energy about who they are, what they're doing, what they think of you, what you think of them, and bringing it right back to you. Because again, that is where you have the power to make your own self happy.
Yes, and that's difficult because a lot of the way that we communicate these days is via social media, and
Mm-hmm.
social media is a highlight reel. It is giving the way we want to be perceived or giving love through a certain channel, which is fine too, but it's very difficult to pull back and be aligned with your own self when we're continuously inundated by what other people are doing, what they're wearing, and how happy and successful they are. So you
Yes.
do, in today's day and age, have to make a conscious decision. And that's why I made, well, always really, but even more recently, an even more conscious decision. I don't, I rarely read my Facebook stream. I rarely read my Instagram stream. And I don't subscribe to any newsletters anymore. Now, that's not because I don't love people. It's because I know that when I go online, that the way the online world works and the way Facebook works, we're already looking what everyone else is doing. And before we know it, now maybe everyone else is better at it than I am, but I know that when I interact, I start to feel inadequate very quickly.
Yeah, it's the vortex. And you are the last person I would label as inadequate. So I want to ask you this. So there's this meme out there. There's this idea that you reach a certain level of enlightenment or spiritual prowess or whatever. Like you're this amazing spiritual teacher and you channel white light. So does that mean you never have bad days or get frustrated or feel inadequate? Does that mean that? I think that's the expectation out there, because that's part of the BS I was talking about in our own community, that life is just purely, it's okay. So there's what Deepak said about like, you don't, the world works for you, things happen for you, but it doesn't mean that you never have a bad day or you don't have to do anything, or that there's no, you're not always doing the spiritual work or even the physical work. Do you know what I mean? Isn't there
Yes.
that kind of idea out there that, oh, you reach a certain level of manifestation prowess and then all of a sudden, everything falls from the sky for you?
Well, I think it's true, actually. I mean, I've seen yogis materialize things out of the sky. I know what you're saying, though. There's truth to that. There is truth, and I've experienced it, and I know people that live in that vibration. But I'm aware, because you're asking me, firstly, the only reason that I have ever talked about myself as a spiritual mentor and teacher now is because people have referred to me as that. I've always referred to myself as a medical, intuitive, and modern mystic,
Right.
because modern mystic to me takes the teacher out of it. Now, I understand, and Eckhart Tolle calls himself a spiritual teacher. There are certain words that we take on then to explain what we do. So that's all fine. What I try to do as much as I can is I don't see it about me. I try as much as I can to live my joy, to pass on the teachings, to empower people. I try to be the best vessel I can for my work, but I try to keep the I out of it for me. I try to be a channel. Now, to come back to your question about do I have good days and bad days? Sure. Sometimes I'm having a bad day every hour for a whole day. But the thing is, I don't expect my life to be perfect. I expect my life to be as it is. And when you go to the as it isness, your life becomes really perfect, or it
Isn't that
becomes
funny?
really good.
But that's the whole thing. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's because the way you accept it is perfect, and the way you're processing it and even transforming the energy can be beautiful. But I think there's an expectation that as spiritual people, you've somehow failed if your life is, because of how it's people present themselves. I think because I've seen that people, I'll write a blog post about something that's we're all going through or something, and people will feel such relief because they thought, oh, I was expecting to be like all loving about the way I responded to this person or whatever. They don't, it's like we don't allow ourselves to have human emotions because we think that means that we're not going to be enlightened, or we're not perfect, or we're unspiritual, or we did something wrong.
Mm, And I think that it then comes back to the definition of that. I don't really have good or bad days anymore. And that's because I don't see something being good as or being bad. I
Mm-hmm.
know that when I've been triggered, and someone may call that a bad day, I actually don't mind that, because then I go into myself and look at what's happened and am able to deepen the process. Now, of course, there are times when one would say it was a very challenging day,
Mm-hmm.
and I get challenged. I was very sick with the flu some time ago, and I haven't been sick for a long time, and that was challenging, but it wasn't bad. So what also happens is that you're not interested in the high and the happiness, you're interested in the depth and the fulfillment.
Oh, I love that so
That's what
much.
happens when you walk the spiritual path for some time. That again, but another comment I did want to make is that I do think, though, that if you're going to claim a degree of psychic ability or expertise, you actually need to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is important. What I mean is that you said before that people have a certain expectation of us, and that expectation can be crippling. But at the same time, if you are going to say that you're a wealth coach, you should have a certain degree of wealth. If you're going
Yes.
to say you're a meditation coach, you should have a certain degree of presence. It doesn't mean that
Yes.
you may not be challenged on that, and you will be. But in my case, if you're going to say that you're a well known medical intuitive and that you can see into people, you actually need to be that. And to be honest, I have
Yes.
been absolutely shocked at the credentials people will bring online with zero or very little experience.
Yes. I think that's what I'm saying. It's like people like to paint pictures and it's somehow disintegrous and it seems a bit of marketing to me. So,
Sure. So I do understand where people are coming from as well. And people say, I expected that person to be like this, or I expected that person to be like this. I understand where they're coming from, because if someone says to me that they do this, and if it's marketed in a certain way, I want to know that they've got the experience and the talent, not just marketing themselves in a certain way. So I do understand why people have certain expectations.
yes. And what I'd like to, for people listening, is your expectations of yourself to be easy on yourself. Because what you're saying, Belinda, and I completely agree with, it's more about accepting and being present with yourself with non-judgment
Yes.
about what you're experiencing. And that's ultimately what I'm wanting to share with people and wanted to talk to you about this message, because I feel that wonderful people get very hard on themselves and judgmental because they think they're supposed to be a certain way and never get triggered and never have a bad day or never think a negative thought. It's and when you judge that, you repress it. And when
Yes.
you accept it, you can transmute it, transform it with love.
Yes. And I think that that is true, but you also have to be very aware then of the type of marketing that you do. So if you are an online person functioning as a psychic or a spiritual person or anything really, you've got to be very aware of the image that you're giving off. If you're giving off an image that I've got my life together all the time, then it's tough luck if people judge you for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's what happens is, and when we get present, we also get aware of where we're truly at. So, for example, I know that I am an expert in chakras and in medical intuition, and I know that in a non egoic, just knowing way. But
Oh,
there
yeah.
are other areas of my life where I would love to do much more creative writing. I'm a complete beginner. So I know that I would love to be able to write amazing books like some of the fiction writers I read, but I'm just not there yet. I'm not beating myself up about it, but I'm just knowing that,
Yeah.
hey, I got a lot of work to do, a lot of years yet of
Yeah.
craftsmanship and honing my skills. So the great thing about being present in your own self is you don't take it personally, but you really know where you're at. And when you know where you're at, you don't give off images of yourself that you're not. So people don't get unrealistic. Like, I don't really have many people that have unrealistic expectations of me. I think people see me for who I am and take me
Oh,
for who I
yes.
am, but I feel that that's also my energy. I think because I do think about, okay, what is an alignment? What is real? So it doesn't happen to me very often that people say, oh, you're not like that, or oh, you're. So again, it's being a spiritual person is also about understanding your effect on others. You're not concerned about it primarily, but you're aware of where you're truly at. So most people that are having unrealistic expectations placed on them, or most people that are giving unrealistic expectations to other people, don't see themselves clearly.
Hmm. So, how would you? I'd like to give people maybe three nuggets of wisdom to really focus on from this wonderful conversation that you've shared with us. So, what would you say the three main things to remember are for people that want to be happy, truly happy, not just think positive thoughts, but truly be happy energetically? And what are the three things that you'd like to leave people with? Or one, you don't need to have three, however
Three,
many you want.
three is
Why
great.
limit? Why
Three is
limit?
great.
Yeah.
So the first one, I'd say, don't define success on other people's terms. If you want to have a joyful life, you have to change your energy to do that. The second thing I would say is that be aligned with yourself as much as you possibly can during your everyday life, which means work on your chakras, be mindful, be anchored in the here and now. Do what the master Eckhart Tolle says, be here now. And the third nugget of wisdom, as you called it, Kari, that I would like to share is that if you're struggling because you're an empath or a psychic or an intuitive, what you must do is anchor in your 3 lower chakras. Once you do that, you will then be able to vibrate on a higher level, and your positive energy will affect other people around you positively. And you'll also be able to then quickly move your energy up into your chakra 6 so you can begin to discover your own unique and divine way of expressing your beautiful empath and psychic and intuitive selves.
That's so beautiful and perfect. And I before we leave off here, I as you were talking about that, I personally grew so much and learned so much in your School of the Modern Mystic, and even from doing your chakra cleanse meditation. So I feel like you're a better person to talk about what you share with that than me because you created it. So can you share with people who want to know more and want to learn from you more?
Our level 1 course is dedicated to the 3 pillars that I've mentioned in today's talk, and it's dedicated to getting your chakras right, learning to work with the white light, and learning to be mindful. I created this course to show people how they could change their energy first and foremost and get their life changed. That is what the level 1 course is dedicated to. It's an extensive training. It goes for 8 months, and we really teach people how to excel in modern mystichood by learning about the chakra system, learning about energy fields, learning about medical intuition, learning about how to work with the white light, learning how to heal themselves with the white light, learning how to transmute negative areas into their lives, into positive things. And again, learning how to be mindful so that they have all the tools that they can possibly need in order to live a soulful and blissful life.
Mm-hmm. And I want to emphasize, because I could feel people saying 8 months. It's actually a beautiful way to spend 8 months. It's not like 8 months in Hogwarts. You've made it very accessible. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I personally feel that no 8-week course is really going to, no 8-week spiritual course is going to give you the depth of training that I think that one needs to really learn to change their energy and change their life. That's just my personal feeling. I actually wanted to create 12-month courses because I see my School of the Modern Mystic as a university for modern mystics. But I quickly came to realize that people think, oh, 6 to 8 months is too much, so we didn't do 12 months. But it's done in a very accessible way. It's
Very
done in a very
accessible.
easy way, but it is extensive training. You
Yes.
really learn how to change your life.
Yes. Yes. But because it is 8 months, it's actually easier.
Yes, I
Because
think
you
so.
have a chance to integrate it. You have a chance to really, oh, we're on chakra 1 these 2 weeks. I can really focus on this. And so you're really integrating it. So I don't want people to be afraid, like, oh my gosh, it's 8 months. I'm already so busy. It's actually a way to integrate this into your life that's palatable and accessible. That's why it's 8 months. So
And also we have breaks in that time too. It's a 6-month course spread over 8 months
yeah,
to
because you get
include
to
the
integrate
breaks.
it. Yeah, I love it. And I love the people in it. And I adore you, of course. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to talk to me and to us today. You are one of my favorite people, and I think the world of you. So I feel the world of you. So thank you, Belinda, for sharing your light with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been lovely, and I love the way we go into different topics and talk about different things, but somehow what you want to cover always get covered. So that's great.
Yes, yes. It's a little spiral.
It's a
We love
spiral.
it.
Yeah.
Always fun, always an adventure. Thank you so much, Belinda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Lots of love.
Bye.